Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7OTC.
This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And I've got Rex VK7MO in the studio. Hello, Rex.
Hi, Justin.
How you going?
Okay.
Yes, given our previous conversation. It's great to have you here.
Thank you.
So I'll just do acknowledgement of country. I wish to acknowledge the Tasmanian Aboriginal people, the traditional owners of the land, and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and for they hold the memories, the knowledge and the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. Now, Rex is back in the studio because we have had some events.
We have, yes.
So give us a bit of a view of the events.
Right, well, let's move to the presentation.
The presentation now. Here we go.
First thing, you'll see this presentation is a combination of myself and Brodie VK3MAP, who are main protagonists, and we've had input from Andrew Klekociuk, who gives us data on the Auroral Oval.
Cool. And
we've got a new player, Geoff Robinson, VK3KGR, who
lives in an idyllic location by the sounds of it.
He lives in the Gippsland Lakes, which Justin's never heard of.
No, I'm sorry about that.
At a place called Paynesville.
Okay.
And he has joined our group, and he has received on one occasion signals from me, but so far only one, so there's still a bit to learn about why
he's only got one and Brodie's been able to do it more.
Yes.
Okay.
But we'll discuss some possibilities.
Okay, cool.
Now, in August we didn't do much at all because I was
laid out.
But in September we had openings on the 2nd, 18th and 19th, and I was very much looking forward to an opening on the 23rd or 24th because that is the Equinox.
Okay.
And there's a fair bit of evidence that during an equinox the magnetic field opens up a crack and lets a whole lot of stuff.
So energy from the sun, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And there was a forecast of a 4 is usually not, KP index of 4 is usually not good enough to work.
Okay.
And it went to 5 on the 24th, which I thought should work. Unfortunately, Brodie is in an 8-ball team and was away for that weekend.
I hope you won, Brodie.
Yeah, we'll have to find out. But I did try with Geoff on the 24th.
Okay.
And absolutely nothing. So we don't really know why.
Okay.
It's still, you know, for the rest of this week, we're still pretty close to the equinox, so we still might get a big crack opening up.
Okay. On the KP index charts, was there sort of a peak on the 23rd and 24th?
Yeah, but not a strong one.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not sure whether the KP index charts take account of whether there's a crack in the magnetic field or not.
Yeah. Okay.
Or whether they just tell you what it is, and then if you get a crack,
it would go up.
Yeah.
So are they predictive or actual, or a combination of the two?
Well, you can get a forecast for 3 days ahead.
Okay.
On the KP index. You can get a much better forecast about 30 minutes ahead from a satellite.
Okay.
That's at the Lagrange point.
Yeah. Okay.
And that satellite gives about 30 minutes warning.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yes, isn't it?
Okay.
And it's usually pretty accurate, but as well as that, the KP index after the event is made available by the Bureau of Met.
Okay.
And also NASA. In general, the Bureau of Met forecast lower than NASA. NOAA, sorry, not NASA. NOAA.
Yeah.
And I think the difference is the NOAA is more focused on North America. and
I think you mentioned more. There's more data points that are coming from the NOAA.
Yeah, it's got something like 13 points.
Yeah.
Places.
Okay.
But most of them are actually in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they're all in the Northern Hemisphere, I think, unless they take some of the Australian ones, I'm not sure.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so the first day we got some good signals. Each of these blue and red dots represents a decode, and along the bottom is a scale that goes from 10 to about 11, so that's about 1.5 hours.
Okay.
And the left-hand scale is the amount of Doppler shift.
Okay.
And what I've done is I've multiplied the 6 metre Doppler shift by 2.87, which is the ratio of 2 metres to 6 metres.
Okay.
And you can see
there's a correlation.
That there's not always a correlation. Yeah, but
strong correlation here.
But there is there and a bit low there. The earlier stuff is sort of correlated in the sense that both of them have got a significantly greater Doppler shift added to them.
Yep.
And I think that probably gives us a clue that there was a fairly unstable reflecting surface at that time.
Yep.
Whereas later on it was more stable and both bands. Now you got to say why both bands can be different. The only thing I can put it down to is our beam widths. We're using 4-element beam on 6 metres, which probably tends to average out the reflection much more than a 10-element on 2 metres.
Okay.
Uh,
So, mate, you're projecting onto much more of the aurora
yeah,
rather than the 2 metre one just focusing on a smaller
yeah,
area.
and you can imagine a smaller one will have more variability.
Well and truly.
But nevertheless, it didn't look too bad, at least some of the time.
Yeah, okay.
Next slide. Now, this is what Geoff, VK3KGR, reported at the same time.
Okay.
And
less of a correlation there. Have you done the same?
no, he that's his.
Okay.
He's plotted two things. One is the signal strength,
Okay.
and the other
Is Doppler.
Is
Yeah,
Doppler.
okay.
And I think the Doppler is red, is it?
The Doppler is red, yes, and the signal level's blue.
Yeah. Well, you can imagine the signal levels all over the place.
Yeah.
Doppler's
Doppler's fairly consistent though.
Yeah. So he was getting fairly good copy.
Except in the middle.
Yeah. What are the times when he was getting good signals?
It's about 10:33 to 11:31.
That's about the same period that we were getting them on. That Brodie was getting them. If you go back one.
Yeah, same period.
Yeah.
So there's a break, and then there is some after 13:26.
Yeah, there might have been some on Brodie's after that, but
But didn't plot it.
I didn't plot it.
No, okay, all right. Cool. Next slide.
Next slide. Now this is the 18th of September, and it's pretty hard to see any correlation at all.
Correct.
So the red is 6 metres, the blue is 2 metres.
And the red is multiplied by 2.87, which should bring it up to be the same. There might be a few little tiny patches where it's the same, but yeah, but most of the time it's quite different.
And what was the difference in KP index? Any?
Very little.
Very little. Yeah. Okay. So you can't take that as a lead.
No.
Next one.
Yep. Now this is the 19th, and again, there's not really any significant correlation. There might be some areas where it's a bit better correlated, but
Yeah. Okay.
So
this is round about the equinox. This is
well,
or just
still
after.
no. Well, it's just before the equinox. Equinox is the 23rd.
Right. Okay.
So now what I did is I actually plotted all of the common periods where we got a decode on both 6 and 2 metres.
Right.
And the next slide is a histogram.
Oh yes.
And the peak is actually. Can you read it?
4, 5, 3, 4, 3, 4, 4, 5.
Yes.
Doppler shift ratio from 2 to 6 metres.
Yes. Well, it's a lot more than 2.87, which the 2 to 3 is about is the one of the weakest ones.
Correct.
So it does suggest that there's
an effect that's not your multiplication. It's an effect
not
that's
just
natural.
a wavelength.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, whether we can explain all that with the beam width, I don't know.
Okay.
But at the moment, that's my best guess.
Okay.
Next slide. Now, the reason why Geoff 3KGR may not copy the aurora when Brodie does is Painesville is actually about almost 80 kilometres north.
Further north.
And at the moment, that's my best explanation as to why.
Yeah, okay.
But he didn't copy anything on the 18th. He copied it back on the 2nd, but not on the 18th or the 19th. So,
And the 2nd was the only time he copied.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Now,
Is what it is.
we'll go to the next slide. This is what the Auroral Oval looked like at the time it was closest to us.
Okay.
And this is using the Lagrange point satellite data, which is pretty good, really. And I can well imagine that it wasn't quite good enough to get to Geoff, even though it was getting to Brodie.
It would have been better over here.
You need to be at Heard Island.
Correct. No, I understand that. Out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Kerguelen Islands or somewhere like that.
Yes, that's right. It would be pretty. The trouble is, you need another station to work.
Correct.
Yes. Well, perhaps between Heard Island and Kerguelen.
Oh,
Except
dear.
we don't have any permanent base at Heard Island.
That's one hell of an expedition.
Yeah. So then Andrew Klekociuk has plotted the blue, which is the height of the Auroral Oval in degrees
Okay.
at my place, and the orange, which is the height at Brodie's place.
Okay.
Now, if anything,
You would have got a better result on the 2nd.
well, we did.
Yeah. Okay. That's so. Okay, that correlates. Okay.
Yes. Yes, the
So this is the. Sorry, these have slipped, but
yeah,
the middle is the 18th,
Yeah.
and the one on the right is the 19th.
Yes.
So okay, that's all right.
Now, the one on the right it peaks almost at the same level as the one on the 2nd.
Correct. Yep.
And yet, Geoff didn't copy anything. And yet on the 2nd he did. Now,
What's the red line? Just
the
the
red
number of
is the
The
magnetic deviation, I think.
Wow. Okay. That is quite a bit more than any of the others.
Yeah, that's the 18th. And yet, although there is a big spike on the 2nd, a big magnetic
Yep. That's interesting. It goes up and then it drops. Is that the what did you call it at midnight?
magnetic midnight.
Magnetic midnight
is 11.
11.
32.
No. Well, that's around the same time. If that scale's right.
Yeah.
Except that doesn't really correlate. There's a bit of a peak at 11. Oh no, 11's over here.
Yeah.
And 11's over here.
Okay. No, forget that.
Yeah. Okay, next slide.
Cool.
Well, while there were occasions on the 2nd of September when the ratio 2.87 between 6 and 2 metres did show up, there's little evidence of this on the 18th and 19th.
Okay.
It's likely the difference relates to the wider beam width at 6 metres, which might tend to average out the Doppler over a wider area. And while it was expected that 6 metres would be influenced by ground null effects, this doesn't really show up in the auroral data in as much as the 2nd and the 19th both have similar peaks in.
Wait, explain what the ground null effect is.
Yeah, when you particularly at bands like 6 metres, you get a reflection, you get a direct signal, say at, well, where it really comes into its own is in EME.
Okay.
And let's say the moon is up at, say, about 7 degrees, and then you'll get a reflection from the ground.
Yep.
And another, and a direct signal.
Yep.
And they can both add together and produce, potentially, if you can get it to happen at both ends, you can get about 6 dB increase.
Right. Okay.
And
wow.
That's often the difference between having a contact or
not.
And not.
Yeah. Okay.
Now the problem is when you get down close to 0 degrees, the two signals, because it's a phase change on reflection,
yep,
the two signals cancel each other out.
You get the reverse effect.
Yeah, and so you get a ground null.
Okay.
And the angle of the ground null is a function of how many wavelengths your antenna is above the ground.
Okay.
And so
on 10 gigs,
it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because you beamwidth is generally so narrow that the ground null never happens.
Okay. But on 6 and 2,
it can be significant. However, the nulls are a function of how many wavelengths your antenna is high, and it's relatively easily to have a number of wavelengths on 2 meters.
Yep.
But on 6 meters, you can't.
Unless you've got a huge tower.
A huge tower, or you're on a big hill, or something.
Yep.
And so the combination of these two things means that when you're looking at aurora at maximum distance, 6 meters is more likely to be nulled out
than 2. Yeah. Okay.
And we found, for instance, that in general 2 meters starts before 6 meters as the aurora's moving towards us.
Okay.
Obviously the elevation of the aurora is increasing.
Yep. Yeah.
And 2 meters will start before 6 meters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in the last update you did on this propagation mode, 6 meters wasn't. You actually didn't make a 6 meter contact with Brodie. In the last update you gave us, Peter PD did.
No, that was not aurora. That
was Troppo.
Was a Troppo experiment.
Ah, okay. Sorry. No, that's my mistake.
Yes.
No. Okay, that wasn't aurora.
Yeah.
But did you do 6 meters before on aurora?
I think we did, but.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'd have to go back to one of our
earlier presentations.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, for some reason I thought it was 6 and 2, but okay. So that explains the null, the ground null effect being greater on 6 meters. So okay, and everybody's in this arrangement, everybody's pointed at the horizon at a low angle.
Yes.
And unless you happen to be really have a wonderful hill takeoff or something.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter too much at my end because I'm close enough to the aurora, so it's always going to be at a reasonable angle.
Yeah. Okay.
But it does matter to the guys at the
in Victoria.
Well, who are basically beaming at zero.
At zero, across the horizon.
Well, the aurora is at zero. On both 6 and 2, our beam widths are 30 degrees or something.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's next? What's the keep along the same
Well, we need to find out why Geoff
didn't get it on the 19th, 18th and 19th. Yeah. Okay.
And we also need a nice big opening with a crack in the magnetic field.
Do they happen at other times other than the Equinox?
I haven't heard of them other than at the Equinox.
Okay.
But one of our earlier talks had a very strong opening at the April.
That was when I was introduced to cracks in the...
Yeah, magnetic field.
Which sounds positively scary, but anyway.
Yes. So,
okay. Well, more data.
Yes, that's
like
right.
a good researcher. More data.
Yeah. Now, has Brodie been able to
now let's
say anything?
Let's sorry, I haven't been. I've been a bit remiss of me. We'll go and see whether there's been any comments. We've got Lionel. We've got Sean. We've got KL4 ZL4. Sorry, ZL4KNZ. David. We've got Lionel again. Andy. Hello, Andy. Colin in VK. No, not by the look of it.
No, probably hasn't worked out how to do it yet.
Brodie, if you are there and you'd like to make a comment, you're welcome to make a comment. I don't know, is Geoff on as well? Is he? No. Okay. What are we saying here? We're all saying hello to everybody. Colin's just mentioned a bit of action on 10 metres FT8 right now into Europe from VK5. So okay, the 10 metres there's been some openings. I've noticed a few alerts on the Discord channel. So.
Right. Is that Colin 5DK?
I'm actually... No, I don't think that is.
No.
I thought it was as well, and I thought that was the same, but it's no. He's somewhere else in South Australia. No, okay. That's all right. If Brodie, if you're there and you want to drop something in the chat, please do. But that's fantastic, Rex. That's really good. So, more data, a bit more data, and we'll see. And Andy's a member of the club now. Congratulations, Andy. That is fantastic. Thank you very much. I was going to do a bit of another promo on. On our outside VK memberships. So you never know, we might get Brodie on or Andy. Andy's already a member. And we've got Lionel, KJ7OFH. So because I'll just remind people, we do now have an overseas, we're classing it not overseas, and outside of VK7, and outside of VK7 membership. And it's half price, so we're only talking $20, and you get access to you get members access to everything, to the newsletter and bulletins and special discounts and all sorts of stuff. So it's $20, which is all of 4 coffees if you go to the coffee place I go to. Which is good coffee. It's this might be Brodie. We've got him on the blower.
Can't comment in chat as not have a YouTube account.
Oh, okay. All right.
We'll rectify for next time.
Well, there you go. Oh, fantastic. Oh, and Richard, hello from not sunny Strathgordon. Richard's doing the install at Lake Pedder, the Lake Pedder salubrious accommodation place. So yeah, fantastic. Overseas, as in the mainland. Of course it is, Colin. Your OS. Actually, everything's OS from Tasmania, isn't it? So yeah, there you go. And we've got cheap domain names on. So great. From Hobart. So new to this channel. Well, welcome cheap domain names. So good stuff. All right. That's our presentation for tonight. But before we go, I'll just remind people Next week is the first Wednesday of the month. And so what that means is we have a presentation night on the first Wednesday of each month. And next week we have microwave satellite weather imagery with Mike VK7DMH, who's been doing some fantastic experimentation using offset feed dishes and RTL SDRs and receiving weather imagery from some of the satellites that are putting out microwave signals. So higher resolution pictures, obviously a bit more bandwidth available at the microwave band. So there you go. So so that's next week. We will be streaming it. We will be going out on RF. Oh, this is Brodie again. And so that's next week's presentation. It starts at 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. We haven't gone to daylight saving yet. Actually, when does that happen? We might be in daylight saving time.
Yeah, it's usually about the first week in October.
In October, which is the first week in October. So we might actually be in. I'll double check that. But anyway, it starts at 7:30, and we are streaming it. You'll see it on the stream as a presentation, and we also we got some great comments, and thank you to those people who did comment around. Last week was our first high definition stream. And if you look at the website, the YouTube channel for Reast, there is now a high definition version of it available, as well as a standard definition version. We do, please don't comment and say the cameras are standard definition cameras. We know that, but everything else is high definition, and there is actually a high definition stream. So. We're working on the cameras right at the moment, so there you go. So that's our presentation night for tonight. This has been VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, and thank you to Rex for making his way in. And we look forward to the next instalment of Auroral Propagation.
Okay.
So fantastic. So 73, have a great week, and we'll see you next week for the presentation night. 73.